on the wall. So he gave you a history of the entire mural. I'm going to talk about the part that was the victim of the hate crime. That particular part of the wall is very important. It represents the Southern California chapter of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, just the image of having them there on the wall in general, but those are not Southern California chapter Panthers actually on the wall. I know a lot about the history of the Black Panthers because me and my wife, we produced a movie about it called 41st and Central. So when this happens, this really hits home to me and my family. My sons are here. They're grandsons of a Black Panther because my father was a Panther. So some of this is very, very personal. And I had to call Kathleen Cleaver and tell her somebody put a swastika over her face. So I'm gonna keep this short, but I want to explain to you exactly what you're looking at when you're looking at that particular part of the mural. So what you see up here is 4 women. 3 of the women are members of the New York 21, and they're protesting against Afeni Shakur and her 20 co-defendants being locked up on a conspiracy case, which they beat. The case got thrown out. So those are the 3 women that you see. Then you see the woman in the middle, or second from the left, that's Kathleen Cleaver. She's very important in that photograph. That's not some random black woman holding a shotgun. So Kathleen, I asked her about that photograph that Inc. got the idea from. It was a photograph a poster in his room when he was coming up, that he ripped out of a book when he was in the 7th grade and put it on the wall, and the caption read, "The Ballad of the Bullet." So let me explain that photograph. She was being interviewed in 1969 about voter suppression and the fact that people weren't getting out to vote. The whole interview was just about that. So she was there, she's giving an interview, and the photographer says, "Can I take your photograph?" She had on a leather jacket, she had on a leather miniskirt, she had on some go-go boots, she was looking all cute up in the office. They started taking pictures, and she said, "Wait a minute, get a picture of this." And she grabbed the shotgun and stood there and said, "Take this picture." And then she said, "It's the ballot or the bullet." So when you look at that, I want you to understand the mural and understand the power of it, what it stands for. Thank you.
I do what I can to bring cultural awareness and to beautify the community, in many, more ways than one. We painted that mural in 2000. We probably got started with it around 99, 2000. It took us over a year to paint it because we didn't have any sort of funding from the city, from Spark, from, no sorts of grants, no sort of donations. And it took us a long time to gather the resources just to be able to complete the wall once we started. It means a lot to me because, I feel like this is a Black community and Black people need to know the things that they have done in history and the things, how important the things that we've done in history. And, to be proud of what we have done in history and, from the past to the present to the future. For something like this to happen, it should make a lot of people think, on more cultural awareness and how we can have outside entities come in and try to destroy our monuments, our murals, our cultural murals based around pride, pride in our people. So, I did that mural for all of us, did that mural for the community. I don't know what to say other than, it's kind of devastating for me to, see somebody actually do that. We've had like tags and stuff like that go up the wall, a little bit of gang stuff throughout the years, but it has never been something that was targeted towards, like deliberate, there's never been any slashing or any real, disrespect on the wall until now. You know what I mean? It's it's a blatant disrespect towards the communities, blatant disrespect towards York Park, Los Angeles, black people, black history, black women, saying that they specifically did the swastikas only over the females' faces on the wall. There wasn't a lot of females' faces on the wall, but I made sure that we had upliftment of the female on the wall. And for somebody to be able to represent such disdained hatred towards the women on that wall, that says a lot about the people who's committing those heinous crimes. I thank the LAPD for being on top of this, and the community for being so supportive.
And area detectives to go. The officers that were present conducted their investigation by knocking on doors, recovering all available video surveillance at the time, and trying to obtain any leads via witnesses. At this point, and the next day, I was assigned primary lead on this investigation, and I continued the investigation by door knocking, walking the area a few times, obtaining additional evidence, video evidence, as much as possible. Just to let you know, we know at this point that the crime occurred approximately between 8 p.m. on Wednesday night and 8 a.m. the next morning. We know this because the Bethesda Temple Church had services until 8 that night, and the people that left did not notice any type of graffiti on the wall. The first reports of the graffiti was next morning at 8 a.m. And additionally, looking at the type of vandalism, type of paint, it was white paint about feet radius on all four faces. It was probably applied sometime before midnight, because midnight was when the downpour and there's on and off rain that night. There's no streaking on the, if you look at the damage, there was no streaking, so it's probably in a good range. Regardless, unfortunately at this point we don't have any eyewitnesses to the crime. And one of my reasons for being here is to ask you, the community, to help us ask for any type of information. Through the video surveillance I do have, I could tell you that a handful of people walked past the area, handful, at most. There was more vehicle activity than pet activity. So if you know anybody that drove through the area at the time, or was in the area at the time, please call me, or if you want to remain anonymous, we have a Crime Stoppers phone number where you can make the tip. The phone number is 800-222-8477. And any type of tips will be appreciated.
And I thank you, and if you ever need anything, you got my card, you call me. I got you. I like what he said, and that is an affront. That's our black temple, that's just like that Jewish temple. And if it was the Jewish temple, the JDL would jump down, lock and loaded on their wall. We need to adopt that same posture, those that can legally carry. I'm gonna put that caveat in there, because this is about self-protection. I get what you guys do, I do. But guess what? You guys come after the fact. That's just it, you come after the fact. But that's how the system works. But to be able to self-protect is why I am here. We have to come up with a strategy in conjunction with law enforcement, how we gonna deal with this.
I'm with that, sister.
I'm serious, how we're going to deal with this. Because it has to be dealt with. Because like the young man said, till you think you're gonna roll up in here, you rolled up on Maxine Waters and Watts. Okay? But you're not rolling up in here. I know, you all know, there are white supremacists on LAPD. It ain't nobody trying to say that, but I'm gonna say that because it has to be said. We cannot let the elephant be out the room.
Okay.
I have been in this city since Sam Yorty was the mayor and Parker was the chief of police. When they would recruit good old boys from down south to be in this police department.
Okay.
Let's get real with it. So, the thing is, we gotta monitor everybody. We got gentrification in the neighborhood. I'm on the alert for white male terrorists. Cause it's real. It's real. It's real. I don't see any. I deal with the Nation of Islam and every Islamic fraction that's out here. They have never harmed me. In fact, they respect me. So we have to get over this about is some Islamic fraction of sale in here. It is not. It's white male terrorism. And we need to address that.
That's right.
It's messing with the economics of a community that is in renaissance.
Amen.
We have businesses here that they can walk in there and shoot up anybody and they come after the fact. What are we going to do to self-protect? So my thing is this. I'm the ambassador for the Leimert Park Crenshaw corridor. And I want to work with any organization that wants to come up with a plan on how we're going to do this, because this can't pass. They don't get a pass on this. And if we don't stop it now, like I said, I work in conjunction. They said if y'all got information, we got street patrol out here. We got Africa Town in the room. Okay, and we need to come up with our own strategy. Those who are security guards and have a guard card and can carry, we need to start patrolling their wall. And I'm willing, from a Chamber of Commerce perspective, to meet with those organizations who want to do that. So I'll give you my card, and we can start that on tomorrow.
Strategy and Soul, which is at the corner of King and McClung. And we have issued a statement with regard to the defacing of the Crenshaw mural. And I just wanted to read briefly part of it. And we do have copies of the whole statement that we would like to pass out for everyone. The defacing of the historical mural at Crenshaw Boulevard by placing SWAT stickers over the faces of black women members of the Black Panther Party is profoundly symbolic and real. A material reflection of the United States white settler state, which is out of control. I'm going to leave there and go to the back of it because I do want everyone to read it fully. This act of public racism, xenophobia, misogyny, homophobia are neither crazy nor random acts. They are systematic reflections of the ideology and the strategy of a dying system. The system is at war with us. The challenge to all of us is, are we willing to put up and ante up to build up our own army and fight even harder on our own side of the war? Victory is not certain, but it is possible and is urgently needed. Thank you.
Part is not the first recent attack on black people in South Los Angeles. When the new predator of the United States said that, be careful what you wish for, Max, and invited a local San Bernardino prosecutor to then say, I'm surprised that Maxine Waters hasn't been shot. The white militia group, the Oath Keepers, decided that they were going to go and try to hold, occupy of Maxine Waters' office. And when LAPD notified the Oath Keepers that they would not be able to guarantee their protection, they got out of there because the South Central community mobilized community self-defense to get the Oath Keepers the hell up out of there. So I want to know, because this is not new information, hate crimes are on the rise, not just in LA, but all over the country.
Basically asking them, can you please police yourself? Can you please police your neighborhood on our behalf, even though you're taking up half of the city budget? No, it's a slap in the face. I just have to say that's very ridiculous to say something like that.
Precisely.
The second thing I want to say is that, I gotta sit down because I'm a little dehydrated, sorry. I just want to back up Barbara because, we're trying to expand the conversation, right? The conversation around hate crimes is around what one individual has done, right? But No one's talking about the fact that many community groups have been going to the police commission every single week, talking about how the LAPD is criminalizing homelessness, criminalizing the actual daily lives of Black people in this city, right? That has to be seen as a hate crime. And to echo, to then just even bring that into this room, right? It's kind of insulting that, there might be, there's 6 or 7 people on that panel, right? Only 2 are from the community. The rest are police. What does that say about what you think about our communities, right? We actually need to expand this conversation to talk about, the role of police in this community and the role of police in the city and how that's enabling people to actually bring even more bigger hate crimes against us, right? So when people, I'm not surprised that someone comes and, paints a swastika on the wall because the city doesn't even care about Black people themselves, right? And so what do you think white people are gonna say when, the city is funding more police than it is funding homeless services, housing services, right? You go on the buses right now, 50% of the people getting arrested and ticketed on the buses are Black people. We're not even 50% of the United States. We're nowhere near 50% of the LA city, right? So I do want to expand the conversation and say that, this is a good meeting and I want to thank all the artists for coming out and the Black Panthers for all their work, right? But I do think that as a strategy center, we want to do anything that we can to then create a different form, an alternative form with this, where the police are not actually talking to us and basically talking down to us, because it is a slap in the face.
Monumental. That mural was representing something very important that doesn't get represented in our culture, which is what we invented, what we created. Now, other cultures might want to put their little spin on that or whatever, but we had a mural that represented what we did going back years, hundreds of years, thousands of years. And somebody thought it was okay to come over and deface that with something that might have been good in the past, but now something that represents hatred against our people and all other peoples. This may have been an attack in our community, but this was an attack against everybody who is affected by that symbol. They think that it's okay to come into anybody's community and say whatever they want because of our president or the current cultural climate in our country. I think that the police need to make some sort of maybe official statement or some sort of something really denouncing it, because saying it in here doesn't mean everybody across the country is going to hear it. We
do this because there's not a lot of places like Lamert Park, Crenshaw Boulevard, Baldwin Hills, maybe Upper Ladera, Lower Ladera. We're trying to hold on to some semblance of history and what we've contributed to this community and to America. And so as a people and as a country, as a planet, as a city, I'm just saying that I don't think we can stomach something that we may have seen with Trayvon Martin and different things in different places. We as a people are holding on as best we can. I'm just thinking that the more we can understand as a community that there's a lot of injustices that have never been satisfied and never been addressed. And so when we start to see them things, the people that are here understand and say, we're trying our best to stay in alignment with the law and believing in the system. And it's a struggle in the Black community to get people to still believe in the system and of the ballot versus the bullet. It's the whole idea of trying to do the right thing. But at some point, there's a limit. And I'm just saying as a larger community that we have to really be sensitive about that, because we have to have like a zero tolerance policy about that, because we're trying to keep a lid on a whole lot of energy that we really want to continue to put forward and strive to make this the best community, make LA what it's supposed to be, as we're making room with the rail. And there's a lot of other folks traveling along lines now in a few days that normally don't, from the airport to downtown. And so it's time to really focus on all that we've contributed and struggled and the good. I know people are talking about putting some murals up in Lamert Park for Mayor Bradley and for different things, because we have to focus on that, because the alternative is just not nice.